Today I'm going to be talking about the comma, which is my favourite form of punctuation. I've heard the comma talked about as the love child between the written and the spoken word, which I think is a nice way to talk about the comma, because the comma traditionally was created by playwrights. Punctuation was created by playwrights who wanted the actors to know how long they needed to pause in their lines. So from that point of view, obviously, it's part of this spoken tradition. It's the rhythm, it's the flow of the conversation, of the dialogue. Whereas the written component's very much about the grammatical rules. So today we're going to look at the 6 different times to use a comma. Okay, the first way that we're going to be looking at is that using a comma can avoid confusion. And for me, this is the golden rule of writing, that you just want your writing to be able to be understood. Now, one of the kids told me this, that the classic example of this is the sentence, "I ate, Grandpa." Now, this can be written obviously 2 ways. I ate, comma, Grandpa. The person is talking to their grandpa, they're telling them that they've eaten, and then there's I ate, Grandpa, without a comma, which means that you've just eaten your grandfather. So look, unless you're a Hannibal Lecter and you like eating old people, then generally most people are going to be wanting to use the comma. So the use of that comma can just clear up the meaning of the sentence. And that clarity is our golden rule of writing. So that's the first time that you might use a comma. The second time that you might use a comma, and look, this is the one that pretty much everyone knows, is that you can use a comma when you're creating a list. So I went to the beach and I took along sunscreen, comma, a hat, comma, and a beach umbrella. Now, between the end, you can put a comma before the end, or you can leave it without. If you put it before the end, that's known as an Oxford comma. Not really necessary, but it's something that different writers, if you can make an argument for doing it, then sure, go ahead and use it. But try and be consistent with in your writing with that use of the comma. The third time that you might use a comma is before a connective, and that "and" that we just talked about, that is a connective word, and we're talking about this connection between 2 ideas. So you'll have your first sentence, idea, and then you'd go comma, connective conjunction, and then you'd have your second idea. Now these connectives are generally short words. There's an acronym, fanboys, to try and help you remember different words that fit into that category, and they're all 2 or 3 letter words. We've got for, and, nor, but, or, yet, or so. And look, you can use these little words just to link those 2 ideas that kind of work together. So having that comma and then the connective word, that will work really well. The fourth way that we're going to look at is a comma after an adverb, when you're starting a sentence with an adverb. And look, this is actually one of my favourite activities to teach with kids. The great Phil Beadle, it's an activity of his, and what he does, what I now do, is he actually says adverbs, which obviously are generally words that end in ly, and he gets the class to moan in the term of the adverb, silently, viciously, creatively, repeatedly. It gets them to moan. So lots of fun, kids really engage, moaning away, but at the same stage there's that intellectual quality there where they're they're learning what adverbs are, and they're obviously, there's that sense that you could say he entered the room silently, or silently he entered the room. And look, the use of the comma in that situation really breaks up the writing and gives it a different kind of flow and a different feel, and it makes the writing more interesting, which is one of the reasons why punctuation is so important if you're going to be a good writer, to have that fundamental knowledge of how to use punctuation correctly. And then obviously once you have the fundamental rules, knowing when to break all those rules. Okay, reason number 5 to use commas. And look, we're really on the home stretch now, and that's using it before direct speech. And look, it's direct speech which is only one sentence long. So, for example, we've got Jonathan says, comma, and we'll go into the speech marks. And then it goes capital letter. Important to remember that coming out of those commas, going into direct speech actually is a capital letter. Jonathan says, comma, direct speech, it's great to live in New South Wales. And then we go full stop, and then into our direct speech marks again. So you can use a comma in that situation there where it's one sentence. However, if the direct speech is longer than a sentence, that's where you should use a colon. And you'll probably notice all the little movements that I'm doing here. That relates to Kung Fu punctuation, which again is a great way to teach punctuation and make sure that learning punctuation is really fun. And you can go to our YouTube video on Kung Fu punctuation. I'm just putting the link up there. So go and check that out as well. Okay, last one. Okay, the last time to use a comma is to embed information. So that's where what you're saying would work alone, but within that sentence, within that clause, you're putting a comma in. So you're embedding it within 2 commas, or unless you use it at the end, where you could just use the 1 comma and then finish it with a full stop or a question mark or an exclamation mark, a period there at the end. So, for example, Mr. Watkins, who is quite new to making iMovie videos, that would be Mr. Watkins, comma, who is quite new to making iMovie videos, comma, is having lots of fun, full stop. So there's a little bit of embedded information that's going on in there, and yeah, there's lots of examples. And look, this is something again which will just improve your writing, the ability to obviously make your sentences richer and fuller and convey more information. So this is an important one for becoming a better writer. Okay, well look, I've given you 6 different times to use a comma. Look, there are more. So look, your challenge is to go out and find them. What are they? Are they rules that you're going to apply to your writing? I think if you apply those 6 rules, you're going to do a pretty good job. What do you think? Look, are there ones that I've missed out? Let me know. Email me. So anyway, thank you for watching. And look, remember, 6 different times to use a comma.